Something shattered inside Tampa Bay on Sunday night. Not just a scoreboard. Not just a defensive game plan. Something deeper. The kind of crack that makes an entire fanbase stop breathing and ask, "What are we becoming?" The lights in Los Angeles had barely cooled before the truth started spilling out. The loss was ugly. A brutal, unforgiving 34-7, but the final score wasn't the part that haunted this team when the planes touched down in Florida. No, the real shock came when everyone finally admitted what they saw on national television. A young cornerback, someone Tampa Bay believed was part of the future, endured the worst night of his NFL life. He wasn't just beaten. He wasn't just exposed. He was hunted. Targets, 6 completions allowed, 6 yards, 94 touchdowns allowed, 2 all before halftime. Every time the ball went his way, the result felt inevitable, like watching a storm roll in that no one could outrun. A once promising defender suddenly looked unsure, unsteady, almost lost. And every Buccaneers fan watching at home felt the same sinking question. If this is our future at corner, what happens when the playoffs are on the line? But while the defense was unraveling, something else quietly returned to life. A spark the offense had been missing since Week 5. A Pro Bowl caliber weapon stepped back onto the field, and the moment he lined up wide, you could feel the energy shift. The coaches have spent weeks designing a plan for his return, a plan that could completely reshape this offense and maybe even salvage the season. That's the hope. But hope in Tampa Bay never comes without fear. Because Monday morning brought the moment this franchise has been dreading for days. The MRI. The quarterback. The shoulder that could decide the next 6 weeks, and maybe the entire NFC South. Inside the facility, the tension was thick enough to taste. Coaches pacing. Trainers whispering. Players checking their phones between meetings. Everyone waiting. Everyone bracing for the worst. Was this the injury that would end the season? Would the team need to turn to a backup? Or did Tampa Bay escape disaster by inches? The results finally came in, and what they revealed was equal parts relief and anxiety. The season isn't dead, not yet, but the margin is razor thin. One wrong hit, one awkward fall, and everything could collapse. Meanwhile, the division is tightening. The Panthers are charging. The Cardinals are coming to Raymond James in less than a week. And the Buccaneers are standing on a cliff, staring down a season that could still become unforgettable or unfixable. And at the center of this whirlwind is one name the entire fanbase is whispering right now: Ian McCollum. A 2022 fifth rounder the team trusted enough to extend. A player who flashed potential, length, speed, and then walked into Los Angeles and suffered a night that could define a career if he doesn't fight his way out of it. Davante Adams didn't just beat him, he dismantled him. Twice. On national television. One-on-one. Step for step. Except Adams wasn't stepping. He was gliding. And McCollum looked like he was dragging chains. The tape doesn't lie. The numbers don't lie. And the hard truth is this: if Ian McCollum doesn't recover from this performance, mentally and physically, the entire structure of Tampa Bay's defense could wobble heading into December. This wasn't just a bad game. It was a warning. And the Buccaneers now stand at a crossroads. Rise from this collapse, or let this night define who they are. There are bad nights in football, and then there are nights where the field feels tilted against you, where every snap seems aimed at exposing your weakest point. For Ian McCollum, Sunday night was the kind of nightmare that follows a player long after the stadium lights shut off. Every throw Matthew Stafford sent his way landed exactly where the Rams wanted it. 6 attempts. 6 completions. A perfect 100%. It felt less like an NFL battle and more like a quarterback warming up in an empty park. Effortless, uncontested, painful to watch. The numbers painted the truth in cold ink, a failing coverage grade. the lowest rating among all Tampa Bay defenders. A young corner who was supposed to be growing into a foundational piece suddenly drowning in the deep end. And this isn't some isolated disaster. 2 weeks earlier, New England tested him the same way, straight down the field. A simple go route. No trickery. And McCollum was left yards behind, watching a 54-yard bomb land as the crowd groaned. The season totals tell an even darker story. 34 grabs on 56 targets. Nearly 400 yards. 5 touchdowns. 10 games. Those aren't just mistakes. They are wounds the defense keeps bleeding from. Across the field, Jamal Dean has been quietly putting together one of the best seasons of his career. 16 catches allowed. 212 yards. 0 touchdowns. 2 corners. 2 completely different realities. One a shield, the other a crack defenses keep striking until it breaks. And here's where the future gets frightening. Dean is headed for free agency, and someone in the league will offer him a contract worthy of a shutdown corner. Tampa Bay, meanwhile, already placed its bet on McCollum. If the wrong one walks away, this secondary could collapse overnight. Chunk plays are destroying this defense. The Rams didn't even need to warm up. They scored touchdowns on their first 3 drives, like the Buccaneers weren't even on the field. Yes, the pass rush has been inconsistent. Yes, the linebackers have had their issues. But when your corner can't survive one-on-one, everything falls apart. McCollum doesn't have weeks to figure this out. He has days. Because another collapse like this could cost Tampa Bay a division title. But while the defense struggled to stay afloat, something important quietly returned to the offense. A familiar heartbeat, steady and strong. Chris Godwin is back. For the first time since Week 5, the Pro Bowl receiver lined up again under the stadium lights. 2 short catches. 9 simple yards. Nothing flashy, but that was the plan. The coaches wanted him moving, not overworked. Present, not punished. And then came the news the locker room needed. Godwin came out of the game healthy. And the staff is ready, finally, to take off the restraints. The phrase was simple, but it carried electricity. We're ramping him up. That means full routes, full snaps, full impact. This is the Chris Godwin who torches zones, breaks tackles, and wins every route that matters. This is the Godwin who turns 3rd and 7 into 1st and goal. This is the weapon defenses have feared for years, the one Baker Mayfield trusts when everything else is crumbling. Pair him with Mike Evans, and the field suddenly widens. Safeties start panicking. Coordinators start sweating. Opponents start choosing between bad and worse. Next week, the Cardinals' secondary walks into Raymond James knowing exactly what's coming, and still unable to stop it. And the good news doesn't end there. Bucky Irving, the explosive rookie whose spark has been missing, is expected to return next week as well. A burst of speed. A jolt of energy. Another weapon coming back at the perfect moment. The Buccaneers have battled injuries all season. They've survived on grit, patched up plays, and sheer stubborn will. But now the reinforcements are returning. The road ahead is winnable. The offense is healing. And after a week filled with doubt, fear, and harsh truth, the Buccaneers suddenly have a chance to breathe again. Bucs Nation, this is where the season gets real. The next 3 opponents, the Cardinals, the Panthers, and the Raiders, have a combined record of 9-24. That's not a schedule, that's an opportunity. If there was ever a moment for this offense to explode, stack wins, and punch back at the critics, it's right now. And with Chris Godwin back, with Bucky Irving returning, this offense finally has the firepower it's been missing for almost 2 months. But there's one giant question hanging over everything. Will Baker Mayfield even be out there to use these weapons? Because now we finally know the truth. Baker went in for that MRI Monday morning. The entire fanbase spent the night staring at their phones, terrified that the season was about to collapse before December even arrived. But the results? Bucs Nation, exhale. It's a sprained AC joint in his left, in throwing, shoulder. And here's the part that should make every Buccaneers fan smile. No fracture. No structural damage. No season-ending disaster. Jeremy Fowler confirmed it. Ian Rappaport backed it up. And Adam Schefter dropped the biggest bomb of all. The Buccaneers are not ruling Baker out for Sunday. That's right. Less than a week after getting slammed into the turf, your quarterback might suit up and play. But now Tampa Bay faces the hardest decision of the entire season. Do you put Baker out there against a 3-8 Cardinals team, risk him taking another hit, and possibly make the injury worse? Or do you sit him 1 week, let Teddy Bridgewater handle Arizona, and get Baker fully healthy for the massive back-to-back battles with Carolina? Games that will decide the NFC South? Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. The Panthers are hot. Tampa Bay is not. Carolina has won 5 of their last 7. The Bucs have dropped 3 straight. And at 6-5, the entire division is sitting on a sword edge. The tiebreaker belongs to Tampa for now. But momentum? That belongs to Carolina. Without Baker, the offense completely stalled. Teddy went 8-for-15 for only 62 yards. The passing game evaporated. But next week, Chris Godwin will be unleashed. Bucky Irving will be back in full gear. Mike Evans is still playing like a future Hall of Famer. If Baker is healthy, even 85 or 90%, this offense can run through anyone. So here we are, Bucs Nation. Zion McCollum has to grow up fast. Chris Godwin is ready to remind the league who he is. And Baker Mayfield just dodged the bullet that could have ended the season. 6 games remain. The NFC South is wide open. The Cardinals, Chargers, and Panthers are coming. This is the line in the sand. This is the moment where champions rise or seasons fall apart. Fire the cannons, Bucs Nation. The fight for the playoffs starts right now. Are you ready to believe?